तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः.
Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashāpaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and we are within the conversations of November 28, Wednesday, 1883. And the heading of the chapter is Last Visit to Keshav. Now Thakur has come to Keshav's house and he has talked a great deal about spirituality in general. And now he is turning to Keshav's sickness and is talking about that. What significance that sickness had. And we know that that is the last visit. That means Keshav is what we call terminally ill. He is not going to recover. But people always hope. And at that point, Sri Ramakrishna is telling something to Keshav. We shall understand that. So to Keshav with a smile. Why is smiling? Because he wants to soften the blow this talk may produce. That is the reason for his smiling. As if he is talking lightly. But he is talking very seriously. Why is it that you are ill? There is a reason for it. Many spiritual feelings have passed through your body, therefore it has fallen ill. So when the spiritual bhavas, the waves, come in the mind, then the body becomes shattered. Because the nerves were not meant to bear those things. And more than what the nerves can bear, the spiritual bhava has been flown there. And so the body becomes shattered. That at the time an emotion is aroused, one understands very little about it. Now the physical thing is that this we can see in our own life. May not be emotion. Suppose we are under some tension for work. And till the work is over, we do not feel any strain in the body. But when the work is over, then that reaction of the body comes. So the reaction of the body takes a little time after the thing itself is over. So that Sri Ramakrishna is pointing out. At the time an emotion is aroused, spiritual bhava means one understands very little about it. The blow that it delivers to the body is felt only after a long while. After a long while, yes, anek din pore, sharire agat lage. So, that reaction of the body takes quite a bit of time. Now, examples a lot. I have seen big steamers going by on the Ganges. At the time, hardly noticing their passing. But oh my, what a terrible noise is heard after a while when the waves splash against the banks. So it has passed away. While passing, we don't notice anything. But after a while, the wave arrives, and when they splash against the banks, then only we see the noise. So the bodily reaction comes after the bhava has passed away. Perhaps a piece of the bank breaks loose and falls into the water. So much wave. But that is after the steamers have passed away. An elephant entering a hut creates havoc within and ultimately shakes it down. Elephant entering a hut. That means the capacity of the hut, beyond that, the elephant shakes it. The elephant of divine emotion enters the hut of this body and shatters it to pieces. So he is smiling but telling very serious things that he is indicating that Keshav will not live now. Do you know what actually happens? When a house is on fire, at first a few things inside burn. Then comes the great commotion. Just so, the fire of knowledge at first destroys such enemies of spiritual life as passion, lust, anger, and so forth. So, first, the gross exhibition of those passions are destroyed by the knowledge rising. Then comes the turn of ego. So, they are all produced from ego. So, first the results are gone, then the cause, ego. And lastly, a violent commotion is seen in the physical frame. Then the receptacle of this is the body, and so the bodily reaction comes. So the order of changes in the body also, mind also is describing. You may think that everything is going to be over, but God will not release you as long as the slightest trace of your illness is left. So this illness is the physical illness. Now, God will not leave you. That means this has a very different meaning, Which is the disease here? The onslaught of spiritual bhava he was talking up till now. And the reaction of the body comes little late. And now he talks of the illness of the body. So what is that illness? And he is telling that God will not leave you till the illness is cured. So his bodily illness is not going to be cured, that he has told. And so what is the cure now? That means this has a totally different meaning. That you will have to come once more until you have become perfect. Your coming and going will not stop. Bhavaroga is talking about. Otherwise, till the connection, there is no connection, there appears to be contradiction. He is now telling that body will not survive, and he is telling that till the disease is cured, God will not leave you. So, This disease is bhavaroga. And God will not leave you means you will not be released from sansara. You may die and you may think all is over. But no, it is not yet over. So the hint is very clear that Keshav has progressed very much in this life, but as he could not accept Thakur's ideas 100%, he will have to come back and suffer or struggle for the remaining progress, and then he will be released from the disease, means he will become mukta. So mukti is not at hand now. You may feel all is over because so many spiritual bhavas have passed through. So you may think all is over. So these two are different things, though placed one after the other in Thakur's talk, but the context, otherwise, what can be the connection? Is it not contradiction if taken on the plane? No. It refers to the bhavaroga and you will not be released, means you will have to come back, and when you become perfect, then you will not have to come back. Then you will be permanently released. That is what is clear here. You may think that everything is going to be over. But God will not release you as long as the slightest trace of your illness is left. This illness is not physical. You simply cannot leave the hospital. If your name is registered there, what is the hospital? This world. And your name is registered there. As long as the illness is not perfectly cured, the doctor won't give you a permit to go. This doctor is God Himself. Why did you register your name in the hospital at all? That means, why did you enter the struggle of life? So, those who are not spiritually inclined at all, they may have many lives to come and go. That is a very different matter. But Keshav is a spiritual struggler. That is called registering in the hospital. So this is very figurative. And he has gained a lot of spiritual height, but he has not yet become perfect. That is what Thakur is clearly telling here. Why did you register your name in the hospital at all? That means, why did you start this struggle? All love. All love because mention of hospital here. Keshav laughed again and again at the master's allusion to the hospital because he was sick and he could understand that Thakur is referring to the Bhavaroga. Then Sri Ramakrishna spoke of his own illness. Now, why Thakur is talking of his own illness? Why not in the beginning? So the action and reaction of spiritual bhavas and when a man will become mukta, these two topics have been told. Now he is telling that incarnation's case is different. That he refers to his own illness now. See the description, completely different. Hridaya used to say, never before have I seen such ecstasy for God, and never before have I seen such illness. That is, illness was there in the body, and simultaneously he was having ecstasy of God. So that is not connected with the body of an incarnation. I was then seriously ill with stubborn diarrhea. It was as if millions of ants were gnawing at my brain. But at the same, spiritual talk went on day and night. Dr. Ram of Natagod was called in to see me. He found me discussing spiritual truth. What a madman, he said. Nothing is left of him but a few bones, and still is reasoning like that. So this is in contrast to ordinary human beings. Master to Keshav. Now again the mind is put in Keshav's illness and tells him that we cannot do anything now. So he says, all depends on God's will. So how much you have to live? When will you die? How much spiritual progress you have made in this life? What will be your case in the next life? All this depends upon God, God's will. And he sings a song as usual. O Mother, all is done after thine own sweet will. Thou art in truth self-willed. Self-willed is the correct word for Ishvara. Redeemer of mankind, thou workest thine own work, men only call it theirs due to ignorance. In order to take full advantage of the due, now he's telling about that sickness and death also in a light manner, in a very serious manner, by an example. In order to take full advantage of the dew, the gardener removes the soil from the Basra rose down at the very root. What is Basra rose? Rose is not an original plant in India. It came with the Mohammedans. And Basra is a town in Iraq. So the rose has come from the Middle East, as we call it. And so it is called Basrai rose. Now, in the dew season, it has to get strength. So what they do, remove the soil around and expose the rose plant right up to the root. So the dew will come and that will help cure whatever problems have arisen and it will become reinvigorated again. So Keshav's health has been broken down totally and the dew will come and he will be having the spiritual life fulfilled in the next life. The plant thrives better on account of the moisture. Perhaps that is why you two are being shaken to the very root. Perhaps they were not read, but Thakur knows that. Keshav and the master laugh because of this allegory and understanding what is happening. It may be that you will do tremendous things when you come back. So he's talking of the next life of Keshav. And tremendous things will be done. Means he will meet his fulfillment of life next time. And he may again be Thakur's right hand. Again he may do big works like helping the people. Now see, whenever I hear that you are ill, I become extremely restless. After hearing of your last illness, I used to weep to the Divine Mother in the small hours of the morning. I prayed to her, O Mother, if anything happens to Keshav, with whom then shall I talk in Calcutta? Coming to Calcutta, I offered fruits and sweets to the Divine Mother with a prayer for your well-being. Last time, then he will say in contrast, not this time. The devotees were deeply touched to hear of Sri Ramakrishna's love for Keshav and his longing for the Brahmo leader. Master, but this time, to tell the truth, I didn't feel anxious to that extent. Only for 2 or 3 days did I feel a little worried. Thakur's mind, just after a little worry, came to know that he is not going to stay now. So there is no use of praying and offering something to the mother. See, undercurrent, the words are there, but if you read between the lines, this is what you will find. Keshav's venerable mother came to the east door of the room, the same door through which Keshav had entered. Umanath said aloud to the master, a devotee, shall we see who is Umanath? Umanath Gupta. चौबीस परगनार हाली शहरे जन्म तिनी सांवादिक छे करस्पोंडेंट उमानाथ गुप्त केशवचंद्र सेनेर अनुगामी ब्रह्म भक्त एवं तार एक जन विशिष्ट बंधु थे. He was friend of Keshav and his devotee also. So this is Umanath, a newspaper correspondent, a follower of Keshav and his friend. So he has entered the inner apartment and is helping Keshav's mother coming to that room. Umanath said aloud to the master, "Sir, here is mother saluting you." Sri Ramakrishna smiled, accepted. Umanath said again, "Mother asks you to bless Keshav that he may be cured of his illness." This Thakur is not going to do because he knows that he will not be cured. Master to Keshav's mother, "Please pray to the Divine Mother, who is the bestower of all bliss. She will take away your troubles." You understand? He is not telling she will cure Keshav. Your mental problems, this is the great power of prayer to God. You understand? If you pray to God for something to happen, the thing may happen, or you will get power to not be affected by things not happening according to your will. These are the two different sides of prayer. Prayer gives you inner strength. Prayer, if it is possible, God listens to that prayer and changes according to what you need. But every time it does not happen so. But prayer has the power to strengthen your mind. So that is why Thakur is not directly telling anything. Please pray to the Divine Mother, who is the bestower of all bliss. So you will get happy, joy. She will take away your troubles. To Keshav. Now finding that mother is praying like that, and all the ladies may be feeling like that, and ladies do not understand spirituality, those ladies, and they want only him to be physically cured. So Thakur is telling to Keshav, don't spend long hours in the inner apartments. Very clear, very direct. Now the end has come. You should completely think of God, rely on God, pass away smoothly, not allow your mind to come down. You will sink down and down in the company of women. a dying man. But Thakur is directly telling him because he is his real well-wisher. You will feel better if you hear only talk of God. So talk with devotees. In the inner apartment, they will talk of your illness and many things of the household. The master uttered these words in a serious tone. See, Master Maharaj has understood this. That is more concerned with Keshav's spiritual life, spiritual progress, and physically he knows that everything is coming to an end, and then began to laugh like a boy, again to soften the blow. So he tells something, and before that he had smiled, afterwards he is laughing. So the truths which he is uttering are harsh truths, and to soften the blow, he is acting like this, like a child. At last he said, no. He said to Keshav, let me see your hand. He waved it playfully like a child. At last he said, no, your hand is light. What is no? That means you will not go back to the world. You are not showing your spirituality or your sickness. So your hand is light. Hypocrites have heavy hands. All laugh. They understand Thakur's hint and talk about hypocrites, so they get a laughter. Master. Umanath again said to the master from the door, Mother asks you to bless Keshav. So they understood Thakur has not yet blessed Keshav. And so Mother Umanath on behalf of the mother is asking you to bless Keshav. Master gravely, because he has told the truth indirectly. They are not in a mood to catch it. So he becomes grave. What can I do? God alone blesses all. Thou workest thine own work, men only call it theirs. The line from the same song. Now he tells another thing very seriously, very beautiful. God laughs on two occasions. He laughs when two brothers divide land between them. They put a string across the land and say to each other, this side is mine and that side is yours. God laughs and says to himself, why this whole universe is mine. And about a little cloud, they say, this side is mine and that side is yours. How many years they are going to live there? Permanently, everything belongs to God. God laughs, that is only one story. The main thing which he wants to convey, he puts afterwards, God laughs again when the physician says to the mother, weeping bitterly because of her child's desperate illness, don't be afraid, mother, I shall cure your child. The physician does not know that no one can save the child if God wills that he should die. All are silent. Now that laughter has gone. Now people have understood. Thakur is telling Keshav is not going to be cured. And what is this blessing and all that? If I say, not the doctor, but if Thakur says, oh, don't worry, he will be cured, God will laugh. So when the doctor says, I will cure your child, the doctor laughs. What does he know? If I am going to take him away, the good doctors, what they tell you now, spiritually inclined doctors, that I am telling. We treat, he cures. We treat, it is God who cures. And if God does not will that, you may go on treating. If he has decided to take you away, nobody can cure. Just then Keshav was seized with a fit of coughing which lasted for a long time. The sight of his suffering made everyone sad. He became exhausted and could stay no longer. He bowed low before the master and left the room, holding to the wall as before. He came while holding to the wall. He went by holding to the wall. So this is the talk. Some refreshments had been arranged for the master. Keshav's eldest son was seated near him. Amrita, a devotee, introduced the boy and requested Sri Ramakrishna to bless him. The master said, "It is not given to me to bless anyone." With a sweet smile, he stroked the boy's body gently. So he showed his affection to the boy. That is more than a blessing. But as a man, as a human being, he cannot bless anybody. Amrita, with a smile, "All right then, do as you please." So Amrita understood what Thakur is saying. Okay, Thakur is showing affection. That itself is more than sufficient. Instead of telling by mouth, I bless him. Master, to the devotees, I cannot say such a thing as may you be healed. I never asked the Divine Mother to give me the power of healing because Thakur says means he wants to heal. I pray to her only for pure love. So his position is made clear. Pure love for himself, pure love for anybody else who comes to him. Is Keshav a small person? Now he is talking about Keshav. Keshav has gone in. He is respected by all, seekers after wealth as well as holy men, because he can work in the society. Once I visited Dayananda, who was then staying at a garden house. Dayananda Saraswati, the founder of Arya Samaj. I saw he was extremely anxious about Keshav's coming. He went out every few minutes to see whether he had arrived. I learnt later on that Keshav had made an appointment with him that day. Keshav, I understand, had no faith in the sacrifices and the deities mentioned in the Vedas. So Arya Samaj believes in the Karma Kanda ritual portion of the Vedas. And the Brahmos have taken up only the Vedanta as they understood it, and they worship the Nirakara God. So in the Karma Kanda, so many gods and goddesses are mentioned. They are in charge of particular things in the universe. Keshav did not have much faith in that, and Keshav did not believe in the rituals. Referring to this, Dayananda said, why the Lord has created so many things, could he not make deities as well? So the Arya Samajis, believing in the Karma Kanda, they had to believe in all the deities. Continuing, the master said, now that topic is over. Keshav, continuing, Keshav is free from the pride of a small-minded religious teacher. So there are small-minded religious teachers and they have pride. Keshav does not have that pride. So the real merits he is pointing out. To many people he has said, if you have any doubts, go there to have them solved. Go to Thakur. So if somebody asks Keshav, Keshav directly tells go to Thakur. He does not have the ego. I am a preacher and I can solve their problem. It is my way to say, what shall I do with people's respect? Let Keshav's virtues increase a millionfold. So Thakur may help, But Thakur does not want to take the credit. He says, let Keshav's fame increase. Millionfold. Keshav is certainly a great man because the devotees of Keshav has gathered and worried about his health. Thakur is diverting their mind from the health point and telling Keshav's spiritual merits. Everyone respects him, seekers after wealth as well as holy men. So the worldly people also and sadhakas also. Thus did Sri Ramakrishna praise Keshav before the latter's disciples. So they should not be discouraged by Keshav is dying now. He has given you lot of directions. After partaking of the refreshment, the master was ready to leave. The Brahmo devotees accompanied him to the cab which was standing in the street. While coming down the stair, the master noticed that there was no light on the ground floor. These things have great significance through the subtle world, though we do not see it from outside. He said to Amrita and Keshav, the other disciples, these places should be well lighted. A house without light becomes stricken with poverty. Lakshmi is a deity, opposite of Lakshmi. And if house is left in such thing, Alakshmi is become strong. Please see that it doesn't happen again. And then Sri Ramakrishna left for Dakshineshwar with one or two devotees. On his way to Dakshineshwar from Keshav's cottage, Sri Ramakrishna stopped at Jayagopal Sen's house. It was about 7 o'clock in the evening. In the drawing room, Jayagopal's relatives and neighbors had gathered. Vaikuntha, Jayagopal's brother, said to the master, Sir, we are worldly people. Please give us some advice. Declaring that they are worldly people, they don't want to become sannyasis, they don't want to transcend the world. So that is the declaration, we are worldly people. And give us some advice how to live happily. I remember an incident. One of our devotee's daughter was married in a house where they were Arya Samajis. Now, the daughter invited me, so I went there. The moment I entered, the mother-in-law says, we are Arya Samajis. That means I should not preach to them any doctrine or any spiritual advice other than Arya Samaj. So that is the declaration. Another experience. In Solapur, a couple ran a big educational institution, and that man's father and mother, all people visited me, but he had to almost plead with them to come and visit me once. As they entered the room, the man said, we are Varkaris. Same tone. Do not speak anything about Ramakrishna or anything. We are Varkaris. The doors are closed. So, Jayagopal says we are householders, we are worldly people, not only householders. Please give us some advice. So Thakur has to talk now, accepting that they are worldly people, but he won't leave his spiritual advice. His advice only means how to progress spiritually. Master, do your duty to the world after knowing God. So you are worldly people, immersed in the world, that will not do. How straight is the answer? Though he is telling that we are worldly people, please give him some advice. Oh, you live in the world and sometimes worship God. No. You live in the world, do your duty to the world after knowing God. With one hand, hold to the lotus feet of the Lord, and with the other, do your work after realizing God. After knowing God, then you can do like that, that you can work in the world, but with mind given to God. Vaikuntha. Is the world unreal? They know the Vedanta and they don't accept that. They have no capacity. So he is questioning Thakur about that. Master, yes, it is unreal as long as one has not realized God. After you realize God, there is no world. God himself appears as all. That is not unreal. So see the answer correctly. Through ignorance, man forgets God and speaks always of I and mine. He sinks down and down, entangled in Maya, deluded by woman and gold. Maya robs him of his knowledge to such an extent that he cannot find the way of escape, though such a way exists. Even for the householders or worldly people, the way exists, but we cannot find them. Listen to a song. When such delusion veils the world through Mahamaya's spell, that Brahma is bereft of sense and Vishnu loses consciousness, what hope is left for man? So, in the Shakta theology, Shiva is wise man. And out of the Trimurti, three godheads who together do the functions of the world. Brahma creates, Vishnu preserves, Shiva destroys. So they have equal value. But in the Shakta literature, Shiva is wise. And these two people, they are deluded by Mahamaya. So in the big gods, they are not ordinary deities. When the part of the Trimurtis, they are deluded. What to speak of an ordinary man? So you are deluded. That is why you are talking like that. You all know from your experience how impermanent the world is. The question is the world unreal? And Thakur's method of showing that it is unreal is through the impermanence. Because impermanence everybody can understand. You all know from your experience how impersonal the world is. Look at it this way. What way? How many people have come into the world and again passed away? People are born and they die. This moment the world is and the next it is not. It is impermanent. Those you think to be your very own will not exist for you when you close your eyes in death. When you will be dying, nobody can help you. Again, you see people who have no immediate relatives and yet for the sake of a grandson, they will not go to Banaras to lead a holy life. The faith is that if you die in Banaras, you will be Mukta. But they don't want to go. They are attached to their grandson, though they have no immediate sons and daughters. Oh, what will become of my Haru then? They argue. Perhaps the Haru's parents are not there. So the grandparents assume the responsibility and say, what will happen to Haru? So we don't want to go to Banaras. They are not seeking spirituality on some pretext. That is Thakur's reading of these matters. The narrow channel first is made and there the trap is set. But open though the passage lies, the fish, once safely through the gate, do not come out again. So a narrow passage is made, the fish goes in, cannot come out again, though he could have come out. Yet, even though A way leads forth, encased within its own cocoon, the worm remains to die. The silkworm builds a cocoon and can come out, but it does not know, and it dies there. So these examples he is giving to Jayagopal Singh's brother, who is telling where worldly people, please tell us something. Thakur is telling them direct truths. This kind of world is illusory and impermanent. So now, simply telling yes, he would not understood. So telling about impermanency and this kind of world which is impermanent is illusory and impermanent. A neighbor. Why, sir, should one hold to God with one hand and to the world with the other? Why should one even stretch out one hand to hold to the world if it is impermanent? Theoretically. Theoretically, if the world is impermanent, why should I care about it? Why should I not be devoted to God? Master, the world is not impermanent if one lives there after knowing God. So I had told in the beginning, if you realize God, you will see world is God's manifestation. By itself it is not real. And so you can hold on to God and then work in the world as God's will. This is the philosophy is telling. Listen to another song. Oh mind, you do not know how to form Ram Prasad's famous song. Man kusi ka jano na. That means how to live in the world. That is the equivalent of farming. So you do not know how to farm. Fallow lies the field of your life, unproductive. If you had only worked it well, how rich a harvest you might reap. Hedge it about with Kali's name, if you would keep your harvest safe. This is the stoutest hedge of all, for death himself cannot come near it. So Kali's name should be the hedge. That means you should always take Kali's name. Then your life will bear fruit. Did you listen to the song? Hedge it alone about with Kali's name. If you would keep your harvest safe, Thakur is saying, did you listen to this? And he is telling the meaning. Surrender yourself to God and you will achieve everything. So don't despise the world. Don't forcefully give up the world. If you put your hand in God, then your duty in the world you can do. Then you can look the world as God's creation. And you are a part of God's instrument. Yes, it is a strong hedge indeed. Thakur is remarking on that. If you but realize God, you won't see the world as unsubstantial. World, I would say, world is like a shadow. And every shadow, though unreal, is the shadow of some real thing. And if that real thing is caught, then shadow has a meaning, or shadows will not trouble you. So, he who has realized God knows that God himself has become the world and all living beings. When you feed your child, you should feel that you are feeding God. So even now, turn your center to God, not to yourself, not to the world. You should look on your father and mother as veritable manifestations of God and the Divine Mother and serve them as such. So, living in the world, you should serve your parents, but not as your parents, but as forms of God and Goddess. So, the whole outlook is changed. It does not bother whether world is a real or unreal. World belongs to God. If you look that way, then it is not unreal. If you look it bereft of God, then it is unreal. If a man enters the world after realizing God, he does not generally keep a physical relation with his wife. So, live in the world, but do not keep physical relation with the wife once you have realized that God dwells in her. Both of them are devotees. They love to talk only of God and pass their time in spiritual conversation. So, ideal for an householder is setting up. They serve other devotees of God, for they know that God alone has become all living beings, and knowing this, they, they devote their lives to the service of others. So, you may be a worldly man, but you need not think that world is unreal. You think world to be connected with God, and you are dealing with others means serving them, seeing God in them. And separately, you are attached to God by holding one hand. Never. But, sir, such a husband and wife are not to be found anywhere. So, when the ideal is stated, it becomes impractical for the worldly man. And he cannot accept it because he will say there is no such example. Thakur is the ideal householder, or if you do not accept this, Thakur is the ideal for the householders. They should look to Thakur. Thakur was married. Thakur had his wife. He loved his wife tremendously. He never used even a harsh word for her, but he went on teaching her how to live in the world and how to think of God up to Samadhi. So that is the husband's function for a wife. And so he is telling that physical relations with his wife are not kept if you realize God. How you look, both are devotees. They have to talk only of God and pass their time in spiritual conversation. They serve other devotees of God, for they know that God alone has become all living beings, and knowing this, they devote their lives to the service of others. But, sir, such a husband and wife are not to be found anywhere. Master, yes, they can be found, though they may be very rare. They may be rare, but don't say they cannot be found. Such people are in the world. Worldly people cannot recognize them because you are seeing only from your worldly eyes. In order to lead such a life, both husband and wife must be spiritual. It is possible to lead such a life if both of them have tasted the bliss of God. God's special grace is necessary to create such a couple. Otherwise, there will always be misunderstanding between them. In that case, the one has to leave the other straight. If both are not spiritually oriented, there is a misunderstanding. The one who loves God should live. Life becomes very miserable if husband and wife do not agree. The wife will say to her husband day and night, "Why did my father marry me to such a person? I can't get enough to eat or to feed my children," as if they are not his children. "I haven't clothes enough to cover my body or to give to my children. I haven't received a single piece of jewelry from you. How happy you have made me? You keep your eyes closed and mutter the name of God. Now do give up all these crazy ideas." So, world has this type of women also, and happy couples also, but both are devoted to God. Devotee. There are such obstacles, certainly. Besides, the children may be disobedient. There is no end of difficulties. Now, sir, what is the way? You know the difficulties. Now tell us what is the way. Master, it is extremely difficult to practice spiritual discipline and at the same time lead a householder's life. He accepts there are many handicaps, disease, grief, poverty, misunderstanding with one's wife, and disobedient, stupid, and stubborn children. I don't have to give a list of them. You know that. Neighbor, must one leave home then? Master, no, not altogether. Whenever you have leisure, go into solitude for a day or two. So practical things Thakur tells. Householder should not tell it is impossible and they need not leave the house. They can't. But living in the house, can't they find solitude for a day or two? At that time, don't have any relation with the outside world and don't hold any conversation with worldly people on worldly affairs. That is solitude. You must live either in solitude or in the company of holy men. Neighbor, how can one recognize a holy man? Master, I think we take it up tomorrow. Hmm? Oh, to Monday, huh? Tomorrow is Sunday. ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना ॐ शान्ति 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 हरिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।